Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to another live. Hope all is well. It's another Sunday, the last Sunday in the ninth month of 2021. Now, for those of you who are not seeing the caption on Instagram, we're going to be speaking about generational curse versus generational wealth. Welcome for those of you who are joining in. And for those of you who join every Sunday, thank you for your support. And for those who have subscribed, thank you for subscribing. The benefit of subscribing is that you're notified whenever it is that I go live or whenever a video is uploaded. No, I don't have a guest with me today. And normally, when there's no guest, I go very quickly based on what I have researched for you can last between 15, 25, 30 minutes. But today, I think I want to just speak frankly, and it may take about 15 minutes. Hi, problem underscore Pitney. Thank you for joining in. You can join live on YouTube if you so desire, although there's not a guest today, but I am able to see your comments there. Not that I'm not able to see it on Instagram, but at least if I'm focusing here, I'll be able to see your questions. So, of course, it's generational wealth versus for generational curse, rather. Well, whichever you want to put first. Sometimes you want to put the positive first. Let me do that. Put the positive first versus generational curse. Get that right into the caption. So I hope all is keeping well. Hope all are keeping well. Um, Basically, for those of you who have gotten vaccinated and you're satisfied with the information that is given, kudos to you for being vaccinated. And for those of you who have not done so, I just believe that this should be, what you'd say, no, freedom of choice. And it just seems like a war against the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. The information is overwhelming, and sometimes if you know you're not able to deal with the information, stay away from the information. Some of the information I really stay away from because they're scary, and everybody is a scientist, everybody is a doctor, everybody's story is factual, and sometimes it's a little bit too much. If you're not able to mentally deal with it, just focus on something else, divert the focus somewhere else. But I have been having conversations this week, and it brought me back to generational curse and versus generational wealth, or if you want to put generational wealth first versus generational curse. Sometimes we're not aware of the persons that come into our lives, whether it is marriage, whether it is friendship, and sometimes you yourself are not aware of your generations before, or even your parents, your grandparents. How is it that they see money? How is it that they view money? How is it that they handle money? And generational curse is normally passed down easily than generational wealth or blessings, because we easily adapt to the norm. Sometimes we don't seek for the change, and sometimes we don't have the knowledge in order to change that. And if you think that it's a generational curse, then you need to stop it. You have that energy, you have that power to stop it and to change how you think and how you do things. Share a personal experience with my parents. Growing up, I was discussing with my sons this morning. I recall that we used to live in a lot of rental properties. We didn't own them, we were renting. And we would have been, where I was born, we probably lived in 2 or 3 houses in that one area. So we have moved between being a toddler to about 9 years old. And I was sharing with my son. The conversation came up this morning because we were talking about lizards. And my youngest son asked if I would rather to have cockroaches than lizard. And I was like, I rather the lizard. I don't like any of them. But if I had to choose, I'd choose the lizard because the cockroaches, they are coming from our sewer, the sewage. Yeah. You don't want them in your houses. You don't want them on your countertops. You don't want them on your food. And rats either. So we started talking about that, and I said to them, I was just pointing in our ceiling. There is a lot that we need to give thanks for, and there's a lot that we need to be grateful for. Whoever it is that you give thanks to and serve. Not here to discuss religion, but there's a lot of things that we need to be grateful for. And when you're grateful for what you have, you attract more. And just by pointing in the ceiling, I said to them, when I was growing up, I remember the first house that we were living in. We were looking at the board in the ceiling. We were looking at zinc. We weren't looking at, a popcorn ceiling or a slab. We were looking at zinc. And can I tell you that I used to see, I remember the next door neighbor had an outside toilet, latrine, outside toilet, we used to call it. And that thing harbored a lot of roaches. And I don't know if I should call those rats because I remember seeing a couple of them. They were the size, not exaggerate, of an adult cat. And they used to come across. And when they do come across, they're in the ceiling. And I remember I used to see some of the tails. I mean, I used to literally cry. I remember my mom sharing a story subsequent to that, a couple of years ago, that every time they had the opportunity to own a property and they would step in, they'll hear about a scheme. And as soon as they arrive, you'd hear, oh, we just sold the last property. Oh, that you would have been a couple would like to sell. I remember also that we purchased a piece of land in a prominent area. Marky, we had other relatives, that own property. My grandparents own property. Both parents' side, mom side own property. I mean, my grandpa did farming. His brother did farming, huge properties. Can still go to those properties now in the country, in Comfort Hall. Hi, Collins, Samari, welcome. You can join me on the YouTube channel if you so desire. If you're here, you have questions or suggestion, you can go ahead. But I recall Dad's mom too did farming and her husband did farming and huge properties in St. Elizabeth. But my parents did not own. And mom would say that I was on the topic of purchasing that piece of land in a prominent area. And purchasing that land is like, yes, this is it. In the heart of Mandeville, and you can imagine that's prime property. I know exactly where it is, and I'm going to know where it is going to go there. And after purchasing that property, my parents got separated. That separation led to a hasty decision to sell the property because it's ultimately going to be a divorce. That was 6 years later, my parents reconciled. So they're still together. The marriage was reconciled. The point is that if you are not aware, Mark, your grandparents had properties, still those properties still exist, farmlands still exist, and my parents were struggling to own their own. I don't know the history of my grandparents, if they were taught to own lands, to be entrepreneurs, to be farmer, don't work for people. But I know based on the conversation that I would have with my parents that they weren't taught. Nothing was handed down. They didn't have those conversations in terms of generational wealth, passing down generational blessings. So, of course, over the years, my father had this dream to own his own restaurant. My father is now 64 and achieved that on his 64th birthday, which was April of 2021. That is one other topic to say that your dreams, once you dream it and you have it and you have your vision, you can achieve them no matter how old you are. But if we are taught from early, it is about generational wealth and generational curses, to break the curses, because we can tell you that, hey, you need to work all this money, all these sources of income. And of course, we're going to teach you how to invest it. But if you don't understand the money, you're going to lose money. And if you don't understand where you're coming from in terms of your history, in terms of your family, in terms of not just talking about it, but someone is showing you, then you're not able to handle it. So whatever it is that you're earning from whatever source, generational wealth is normally passed down in the form of money. And if it is passed down in the form of money, sometimes the second generation and the third generation has nothing to get because it is just spent. Even sometimes, if you don't know how it is acquired, how important it is. Asset is normally passed down, sometimes generational wealth. And again, if you don't understand it, second generation, it may be auctioned or it may be sold for little or no money. And again, money in hand, just gone like that because you don't understand it and you don't know how hard it is to work for money. Statistics have shown that when generational wealth is created by the second generation, 70% of it is gone. It don't reach second generation, 70%. And 90% is gone when it reached third generation. Statistics have shown that. Now, if we are aware of these statistics and this information, it means that we're working against ourselves if we are not getting the knowledge in terms of how money works, understanding it, what are the plans we have, and first, you have to talk about it with your children. Sometimes we talk about it, but we talk about it in a negative connotation. The money root of money is evil. And your persons are not humble because they don't understand it. You have to teach them and you have to show them how to invest it, where to invest it, when to sell, when to hold, how long. You have to teach them about money. And teaching them is not just talking about it, because I have those conversations with my children. How to manage it. And if you're able to tell them how to manage it, then you keep it longer in the generations and for their children's children. Teach them it has to be spent on necessity. So, for example, buying things that are going to last long. Buying a lovely bed, for example, made out of wood that is going to last for 10, 20, 25 years. Buying something that is because it's attractive and it is not going to last and you're going to have to buy that thing again. There are some things that we will have to buy again after a number of years. But some of those things we can avoid buying and also saving more money when we buy quality and not just because it looks good. Now, in order for us to overcome generational curse, we have to embrace this and we have to understand it. Our children are amazing. They're innovative. They're willing to take risks. So if we teach them how to handle money, then they'll be able to pass it on to their children's children. Talk to them about it. As I said before, show them. There are people who have money also and they don't talk about it, thinking that if they tell the children about it, they are not going to understand and have this false sense of security that when I die, they're going to just inherit this $1 million. Now, if a $1 million is there for me to inherit, and you don't teach me how to handle it, how to spend it, how to manage it, how to spend on what is a necessity, how is it to make money work for me by investing it, understanding investments, how they work, I am going to blow that $1 million. But if you start to have that conversation with me and show me how, based on how you are doing it, then it is when I get that, then it is that I am going to make that money grow so I can pass it on to my generation so they can pass it on to their generation. We're talking about generational wealth. Now, we also need to encourage our children that while in this planning to create generational wealth, and it does exist, it's not just a book theory, generational wealth exists. We know people who have passed down generational wealth. We know people who have received generational wealth. And sometimes generational wealth is not just money, it can be knowledge. Because like I said, my parents, I told you about the experience. My father had that dream, but my brother and I decided that we weren't going to repeat the same scenarios with what that our parents had. Truth be told, my brother and I owned our houses before our parents did eventually buy a property together. We did. We consciously decided that we were going to break the curse. We were going to do this by age 30. And we did. My brother, well, he's younger, so he did it before 30. I did it 30. So you want to make sure that you're conscious of it, and being conscious of it, meaning that this is not the same trend. If they had achieved it earlier, then that's a trend. But if they did not know, I am not going down that same path where I am selling any property. If I'm selling it, I bought it for X and I'm going to sell it for X, 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 X. It must appreciate and double how much I cost before I'm going to let it go. Have to know when to let it go. So you have to invest, know when to hold it, know when to let it go. Now we want to teach our children that job 9 to 5, one stream of income is not going to cut it. And we can't just tell them, we have to show them. I encourage my boys to study. And studying is to show that you're self-approved. Nobody going to turn them in no fool. But I am not training my children to come and to work for somebody who is going to decide when it is they work, how much they get and how much pension they get. They are going to become and be lenders and employers, entrepreneurs. So whatever field, they are going to be creating jobs. And creating jobs also is how you also create generational wealth. You can pass it down to your children's children. Now, working for someone, job sometimes is just hand to mouth. If it is that you're doing your job and you have multiple streams of income on the side, or other two or three more that is yours, that you're building, but this 9 to 5 is paying you well and there are benefits and it's secure, and you want to create that balance, that's fine. But don't let it be your only source. There is no way you can create generational wealth through one source of income. If it is that you're earning enough and you're saving enough and you're diverting that money, you're investing and you're creating wealth, and you're now transposing or transporting that to other means of income, yes, then that's a way to do so. But if you're sitting down waiting on that 9 to 5 to achieve these big dreams and goals, it's not going to happen. You have to be realistic. So you have to think about it, know about it, and show it. Do it. Action. Be proactive about what is it that you want to achieve, those dreams and those goals. We can't just dream about it, because while my dad was dreaming about owning his own restaurant, and it's not in Jamaica, it's in the United States. No, you were also thinking of expanding. Yes, the dream has been accomplished, but how we're going to go about expanding? Because this, he's thinking about his generation still, even though we, as his children, my brother and I, have taken on our own. But of course, he still wants to play his part, because he has some persons haven't realized it, and all the people them grow up and them depend on them own generational wealth. Generational. It is our God given responsibility to create that generational wealth for his children's children. A good man leaveth an inheritance for his children's children. So generations to come. And if we have that mindset, then we will have the mindset in our society where people working so hard and another man sit down and feel them entitled to it, or this extortionist mentality, or this scamming mentality. We wouldn't have those. But because we don't have those, we have people who are dependent on other generations for their income and will take a life for it. We have to make the change now. Yes, the world is different. Yes, things are happening and they look like the world is going to end. And do we really have time, he says, to occupy until he comes? We don't know when, we don't know how, but we need to live. Are you going to roll over and die now? Or you're going to live and create that wealth? Now, you need to encourage your children that they need financial advisors, because not everything you're going to find on YouTube, or not everything you're going to find on the internet, and you have to be practical. Sometimes you alone can't create that discipline. You're going to need help in terms of planning and setting out and creating that spreadsheet, and someone that is going to hold you accountable, and someone that is going to show you how and make the recommendations. So you need a financial advisor like me. DM me for the information. We can have that conversation. I'm on Instagram for those of you who are on Icon Sherns. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. You can, for those of you who have my email, I can post it here. It's also in my profile on Instagram, my profile on Facebook. You can reach me at any point in time and I would be willing to assist you. No, you need to be frugal. Live in your means. Don't spend what you don't have. Encourage your children again that we are purchasing necessities. When you have the little extra, it's not that you can't spend some of what you're earning and have a little fun. Yes, you can, but we have persons who are earning 100,000 and the expenses are at 150,000 and recurring. This is not just one time, but they're always overspending. Want to encourage you to live within your means. Know how money works. So you need to be aware of the stocks that are available, other investments. You can go through low risk, medium risk, and high risk. So you determine what you can handle. If you can't handle the high risk, that is where you think it's not guaranteed, then you go into ones that are more guaranteed and being consistent, and then you can gradually matriculate into something that is a little riskier, because the higher the risk, the greater the return, and the lower the risk, the lower the return. So you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And if you have a heart attack, and it's for those of you who probably have had bad experiences before with money, start where you can manage and build on that. Now, invest. There are persons that I've had conversation with, and it was 3 persons I did when I was doing my retirement module. And one person had retired just a month after I did the interview, month before I did the interview, 1 5 years and 1 over 15 years. And all of the responses were the same. I have contributed to my pension fund, but I wish I had contributed the maximum or even more, and also invested to supplement. Now, when I heard that, I said, no, I have to fix up my thing, because those persons I thought would have been well off in terms of comfortable. No, I don't want to make the same mistakes. I hear from them, so I'm going to do what they say they would have done. Now, again, you're going to need a financial advisor, and that's me. Allow money to work for you. Invest in yourself, because if it is that you need to upgrade in terms of your studies, in terms of a job, in terms of training, in terms of a trade, invest in yourself so you can earn more money, or a course in trading or networking, whatever it is. Invest in yourself, because of course we need knowledge, and knowledge is power. No? Invest in your future generation. When you invest in yourself, that is what you have actually done. When you have invested in yourself, you're investing your future generation. I was having a conversation, and I call these conversations when I'm making recommendations with a client. And accumulating money that your family is aware of. Let's say, for example, you have a sum of money and you are interested in doing a business. Your children may have a dream or a business that you want to invest in, and you have this money put away. Lend yourself the money. The bank is going to charge you some high interest, and you're probably going to pay 3 times the amount that you'll be borrowing from the bank. But pay yourself back. So if it is that you were getting 10% from the bank interest in terms of paying back on the loan, or 15% or 11, whatever it is, you can probably say, you know, won't go that high. You know, you want to make sure that you borrow your money from yourself and you're gonna pay interest of 5%. So the business that you're invested in, when you have made the profits, you're gonna pay back that loan that you have borrowed from yourself of 5%. That is also creating wealth. So when you're investing in the children, if they want to do something, have them do the same thing, borrow from that lump sum of money, and you're going to put it back. That is also creating discipline, and for them to understand how money works, and also the importance of money, that they don't think this money is just coming free for all. And if you don't work, you don't work. And if it work, it work. If it is that you're doing that, then it's going to create that discipline and that urgency to say, I need to make this work in order to pay back that loan. Right? So those are some tips in terms of creating generational wealth or generational blessing in terms of versus generational curse. But you have to know, if you're married, you have to know your spouse's background, how they think about money, how their parents think about money. Listen to how they speak and see if there's anything you need to adapt or anything you need to break. In breaking them, you also have to make sure that you are creating that generational wealth and blessing that is going to move you to the next level, to create that wealth from your family, that they can pass it down from generations to generation. Understanding how money works. Money can work for you if you understand compound interest, if you understand how the investment works, if you're watching the market, the bullish or the bearish market, when to buy, when to hold. No. For those of you who want more information, I can be contacted here, either on Instagram, Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn, Shernet Higgins Clark on Facebook and LinkedIn. The Iconic Advisor, of course, on YouTube, and Icon Sherns with a Z on Instagram. I am a licensed financial advisor with the FSC, the Financial Services Commission, right here in the beautiful island of Jamaica. And I'm able to help you achieve your dreams and your goals through instruments that are available to help you. I also specialize in life insurance, health insurance, some aspect of investment, and of course, pension fund, the ARS. For those of you who are not under a government superannuation fund, of course, you can have your approved retired scheme done for you once we are able to do the requisite in terms of your gross annual income, etc. Then we decide whether it is they're going to do 5, 10, 15, or 20% of that amount. For those of you who may be in a company that is discontinuing or winding up your superannuation fund, and you want to go into an ARS, approved retirement, so you want to transfer that fund, of course, I'll be able to assist you with that too. Alrighty. So make sure that you stay focused, stay strong, stay safe. Remember to observe the protocols, the washing of the hands, wearing of the mask, watching the distance, and top up on your vitamins, your vitamin C, D, whatever it is, your zinc, to make sure that you're boosting the immune system. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, guys. I so do intend to see you next Sunday at 4 on the Iconic Advisor. And for those of you on Instagram, Icon Insurance. Thank you once again. Enjoy.